Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Going to do a little bit of a news brief today because there's just a lot of things happening. And yes, this is live. You can watch it here on YouTube or here on Rumble at the same time. So we're broadcasting live on both, and just you don't have to. It's not a requirement, and it doesn't cost anything. But if you wouldn't mind, click the thumbs up button, the like button, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to Rumble or YouTube, or really both, because I post different content at times on both sides, because YouTube has a lot of viewers, and Rumble, it's a free speech. So just to kind of let you know, and you should probably sign up to both, or at least subscribe to both. I see all of you in the chat. Um, I'll try to you know, pay attention a little bit to that. When I'm doing this by myself, it's hard to do this and then pay attention to the chat. I do apologize for being a little late on today's video. It's been a rough day. Doing the homestead thing, actually doing the repair the truck thing. um, if you're on the Patreon channel, I posted a video earlier, and I was sitting there working on it. I'm replacing the rear drum brakes, which is one of the things that I dislike the most when it comes to working on vehicles. And this one has just given me all kinds of fits today. It's a 23-year-old truck, but it has really low miles. And so there's good and bad to that. And the bad in this situation is that it has low mileage and it's old, which means a lot of the parts of the original, and they've just been sitting there for 23 years, seizing on and getting all rusted or all caked on, and it makes it's just not fun. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing all day, is getting that silly truck, the rear brake, fixed on it. Anyway, so we're going to get into some new stuff beforehand. I know some of you hate this, and I don't particularly like it, but I have to do it. It's the way to pay some bills. But I'm very particular about companies that I mention, and this is one that my wife and I did a ton of research on, and I believe it's a very good quality company, and I just want to show you some stuff. This is Perfect Supplements is the name of the company, and they have all kinds of different things. Sorry about my hands. I tried to clean them as best as I could. Desiccated liver. I've just got a few things. They have all kinds of stuff. Mushroom immunity. This is one I've started taking, so I don't have any results to tell you because I've just started taking it. Revive, mental clarity, energy, all that kind of stuff. Detox. Here's one that we like a lot: multi organs. Anyways, the point is this company produces very, very, very high quality. It's a family-owned business, and it's all non-GMO, organic, grass-fed. If it's animal products, just very high quality stuff. And there's a link down in the description below if you're interested in this. Here's another one. They have a lot of stuff, a lot more than what we have here. And while their prices are certainly more expensive than like the stuff you get at Walmart or the dollar store or Walgreens, it's way, way, way better quality. So just remember that when you're looking at the stuff, and it's not too terribly expensive. A lot of stuff is going on today, and I'm going to start off mentioning something that I've mentioned several times on here in the last couple of days, but it's just think it's something to watch. People are mentioning Gojo stuff for your hands. I don't have any. I have, and I should have done a better job. Sorry, it's not a big deal. I've still got a few little cleanup things to do, so I didn't want to get too clean and then have to get dirty again. And but I have some handmade soap that a friend of ours made, and they put like salt and stuff in it for abrasion to clean. And it's made specifically for cleaning hands. And trust me, my hands were completely black. If you've ever done brakes, especially rear brakes, you folks that's done it, your hands just they're nasty. So it actually does a pretty good job. Anyways, what I was saying, let me split this screen here. Here we go. Been mentioning this for a couple of days, and here it is again in the news. Severe weather outbreak with tornadoes that could impact 20 states. You can see down here in the little picture, This weather pattern that they're talking about that's moving in could be the most severe weather pattern that we've seen in at least a decade. And from what I was reading, most of it's going to be down in this area, but this whole area is definitely a threat. I would consider and suggest watching Ryan Hall, y'all, which is a YouTube channel, probably the best weather forecaster out there that I'm aware of. Ryan Hall, y'all, is his YouTube channel, but definitely a good one. And then been talking about this one for the last couple of days. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is right here. Raised money for firearms training in March. So this is something that they are actively training. These people are raising money. They're finding people to train them, to buy the weapons. It's no joke. I'm not saying that they are, the next Army Rangers and stuff, but they're not quite what they were 10, years ago, 5 years ago, when people were laughing because they couldn't even figure out how to put a magazine in a rifle or something like that. Just wanted to throw this one out there. Mostly what I'm going to talk about today is the U.S. dollar. Before I get that, General Milley. Sorry. Oh, man, I always get that wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Says that war with China and Russia is not inevitable. It's not an inevitable thing, folks. Just remember that the guy that is the military genius that helped us run away, tuck tail and run from Afghanistan, leaving tens of billions of dollars of equipment there, uh, is letting us know that it's not necessarily inevitable that we go to war with Russia and China, which is one of those things that, usually if folks like this say this, then that probably means the opposite, that it is inevitable. But who knows? A lot of things going on with China, and I'm just going to run through several things that are they're in the news, but I don't think a lot of people are really paying big attention to them. So here's one. Saudi Arabia takes steps to China-led security bloc as ties with Beijing strengthen. So Saudi Arabia has been getting really buddied up with China. And they've worked out some peace deals with Iran because of China. There's all kinds. They're wanting to be part of BRICS. They are they're just becoming bedfellows, and this is a big deal because not all, but a portion of the value and the acceptance of our currency comes because of deals that we worked out with making the United States dollar the petrodollar with Saudi Arabia. And the less that they are buddies with us, and this has been happening for a while, the more danger there is of our currency continuing to lose its value. And this isn't the only thing going on. Let's see here. Hold on just a second. There we go. I had the wrong button clicked. Couldn't see my stuff. Other things showing that the U.S. dollar is losing its punch. China and France have completed their first LNG, liquid natural gas, trade using the Chinese yuan, ending the reliance on the U.S. dollar for energy trades. China and France. Here we go. Another one, China and Brazil to settle trades with their own currencies, ditching the U.S. dollar. Another one, China settles liquid natural gas with the UAE. So basically what happened here, and because I just mentioned the France, China purchases liquid natural gas from the UAE, and then they turn around and they sold it to France. Both transactions were done in Chinese currency, not the United States dollar. So that's a pretty big deal right there. We're seeing more and more of the devaluation, the de-dollarization, really is what it is. And in fact, here's an article by Zero Hedge. I would encourage you to look this one up. It's actually a pretty good article, and it lists the things that's happened just recently. It doesn't list everything going back the last couple of years, just recently, and the amount of countries that are trying to be part of the BRICS little union thing that they're doing, and it lays out a pretty good example and plan of how the dollar is losing its power. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen." I saw a guy the other day online, and he was saying that. He's like, "Oh, all these people are talking about the U.S. dollar losing its value. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. The U.S. dollar is far too powerful for that. Far too powerful. It's so widely accepted that no one, it's never going to lose, its power. It's always going to be the top dog." Well, that's not necessarily true. It's possible. It's possible that it will always be the top dog. It's also very possible that the U.S. dollar could completely lose all of its, purchasing power at some point, or at least enough to kind of tip it over the edge to, cause things to start to fail. And then guess what? It's CBDC. So a lot of things have just been kind of laying out. I mentioned that Millie was talking about war, where here's Biden saying that the banking stress isn't over yet. So should we believe that this is the opposite? I don't know. Or maybe there's some honesty here that it's just not over. Another one referring to the U.S. dollar, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations is preparing to discuss delisting the U.S. dollar, the euro, the yen, and sterling, and switching to local currencies. Um, are they talking about the yuan? Because that would be a local currency. Um, Basically, these are Western currencies, part of NATO type countries that the Southeast Asian nations are, they're working on getting rid of, folks. And just in case you didn't think that the U.S. dollar, or that just paper money is on its way out, because it is. Here's an article from an Australian bank, from about an Australian bank. Major Australian bank to end cash withdrawals from its branches as the end of paper notes loom. So this stuff is happening, and I want to point out, and this is just me. This is just me thinking this. There's no proof or evidence or anything like that of this. This is just my opinion. Um, for the last few weeks, we've all been focused on several big things going on, right? Train crashes and chemical spills and potential war, and bank stuff, and then stuff going on in politics, whether it's Biden or Trump getting arrested, and all of these things that are happening, right? And I've said, and so have many others, that it could all be a distraction for something else. And it's very possible that this is one of those things, because unless I am mistaken, just in the last few weeks, probably 3 weeks, I would guess, the amount of increase that I'm seeing on CBDC stuff moving towards digital currency, and the amount of stuff showing that people are moving away from the US dollar, whether it's China and UAE and France and Brazil and India and all these other countries, that they're moving away from the US dollar. I'm not saying that everything that's happened over the last few weeks has been a distraction for that, but it's certainly what's happening. It's certainly happening because no one is really talking about this that much. No one is really talking about these two things that are very, very closely related. The US dollar is losing its oomph. It's losing its prominence. Doesn't mean that it's dead right now. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen next week. But these kind of things can happen really fast. I mean, look how fast SVB Bank, look how fast that thing collapsed. I mean, it was really overnight. And a lot of people believe that the reason why things are happening at a faster pace is because we're all online. Everything's online. Transactions are online. Stocks and, buying stuff, it's all online. Okay. So it's not like 1929, right? Where you have to do the wire telegraph or send a letter in the mail or something like that. It's instant. And so the possibility of these things collapsing faster are very real. Jason Casper is in the chat. Thank you, sir, for that very, very much. I want to remind all of you, if you're into crypto or you need some advice on crypto, Jason runs a channel and very good information over there at his channel, Jason Casper. But these things are happening fast, and so we have all this other stuff that's going on, and all of it's very important, mind you. I'm not downplaying any of it. I'm not saying that any of this other stuff is blah blah blah, not a big deal or fake or anything. I mean, some of it could be, but most of these things that are happening look very serious. But all this while we have, and not a lot of talk about it, we have lots of nations, and it seems to be picking up speed pretty quick. Just in the last couple of days, you've got UAE and Brazil, and all talking about walking away from the US dollar. And I mean, that's a big deal right there. And then you have all of these articles and all of this talk about CBDC. Yesterday you had the head of the Japanese central bank saying that we need to do the CBDC thing. That it's the only way to ensure people's security and their confidence in the system, and to secure their wealth, is we need to have the digital money. We have to. That's what he was saying. And so we're watching this kind of stuff transpire. I don't know, because I'm not the expert, right? But I kind of wonder that a lot of people, us and others, are expecting this big sensational end to the US dollar and this big sensational beginning of central bank digital currencies. And it may not be that way. It may not be this big, oh my goodness, it's all over the news. There's people running, throwing their money up in the air, and it's falling down from the buildings, and people are falling down from the buildings because, oh, it's all crashing, it's all ending. And then this panic because everything is CBDC, and it's like instantly overnight, it's 1984. It may not work out that way. It could be a very incremental, little by little thing that's happening. There is pushback on the CBDC. There are some legislation here in the United States pushing back on state level and on the federal level. That's a good thing. I don't know how it's all going to work. I don't know if even if it gets passed, if the Fed is like, oh, well, or if it gets passed and then the US dollar collapses and the Fed's like, well, we got to do this. There's no other option. I don't know. But I think that we're watching this pretty much happen it's incremental. It's picking up pace, but there's so much stuff going on. I mean, if there was nothing else going on and it was just all this banking and dollar and trade and stuff, would that be the front page of the news? Would everyone be focused on it? I don't know. But this is some major stuff. When Saudi Arabia is openly, actively talking about it and doing it, of doing trade with other countries outside of the US dollar system. I mean, for those of you that maybe you're not as up on history as you should be, maybe you're young, maybe you've just forgotten, but we have started wars. We've pretty much assassinated heads of state. We've done some covert stuff over the last 20, 30, 40 years to people because they say that they're going to walk away from the US dollar, or they attempt to walk away from the US dollar. It's a big deal. I saw another post that someone was trying to, again, say that the US dollar is strong and it's solid and it's not going to go anywhere, because they were saying that, and they're right on this part, that part of the power of the US dollar is because it has the US military and the US Navy to back it up. And while we certainly still have the biggest ones out there, the biggest Navy, the biggest Army, all this kind of stuff, we have the best technology. I get it. And this isn't a knock to anyone that wears a uniform. It's a knock to the people that run the military, from the top brass all the way up to the White House. And it doesn't matter how good your military is. and how highly technological and highly trained your military is. If your leadership is weak and incompetent and incapable, then it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, think about that. If everyone, if our entire military was filled with, the most specialist ever that was super amazing, it wouldn't matter if the leadership was completely worthless and incompetent and, you know, weak, which kind of is what they are. So I think for right now, at least, a lot of countries are saying, you know, they're in a lot of debt. They're having a lot of problems in America, and their military, I mean, they're weak in that area. Uh, Maybe the US dollar is not where we want to be, because it actually costs all these other countries money to use the US dollar. It's not a benefit to these countries to do trade in the US dollar. You see, they have to take their currency, and then they have to go buy US, dollars with it. And then they also, because it's kind of part of the requirement, to also buy our debt. So they buy our money, and so they usually lose a little bit there, and then they have to go buy and then buy the stuff. It's not a benefit for any of these countries to be using the US dollar. It's just not. Certainly not anymore. And we are seeing, I think, the beginning stages of the United States currency going down, all this banking stuff that's happening, and it's not getting any better. I mean, I mean, even Joe Biden's agreeing with me when he says that the banking crisis isn't over yet. It's not. I'm not a market guy expert, but I know enough that things like this in the market happen where they kind of go down and then they appear to go up, and then all of a sudden they go, meow. Yeah, like that. Sorry about that. A little too loud. But that's what happens. And that could be what we're seeing here. We could be seeing, oh, the market's doing a little bit better now. Oh, it's rallying. Oh, yeah, it's great. Only for days or weeks down the road, the bottom just to fall out of it. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't really see how this could happen any other way. I don't know how that they could do all the things that they're doing politically, geopolitics, here in America, militarily, everything. The spending, the debt, everything, and just expect that this system is just going to be eternal. It's just going to last forever. It's always going to be strong. Everyone's always going to want it. Everyone's always going to respect it. And we can just spin, 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 spin. At some point, the house of cards is going to come down. And if you're not prepared for it, it's going to hurt really, really bad, folks. So do everything you can to be learning to work outside the system. Yeah, Oldie says that markets always go up before they crash. That's true. But do everything that you can to work and live outside the system. Get prepared, self-sufficient as you can. Work on your resiliency, work on your mental strength, your spiritual strength, because it's all going to be greatly affected in all this. Because when the Titanic starts sinking, the unsinkable ship, the Titanic, when the Titanic United States starts sinking, you don't want to be stuck on that ship. You really want to be getting out of it ahead of time. I mean, if there were people that knew an hour ahead of time that the Titanic was sinking, all that, how many people would have chosen to get out ahead of time, get away from that sinking ship under their control? Probably some of them would have, and that's where you should be at. You should be getting out of that sinking ship, by being as self-sufficient as you can, stocking up, producing your own stuff, building small communities, because this system is not, it just can't. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not making predictions. I could be wrong, but it certainly looks that way when you start reading all these news articles. Folks, seriously, it's time to get your houses in order, to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for tuning in to this live stream. I'm going to attempt to do more of these. If you didn't know, it's being broadcast both on YouTube and Rumble. I encourage you to go over and check out the Rumble channel also, because I'm putting content up over there that doesn't get seen here on YouTube. That's also my backup channel. So if they decide to suspend me again, like they did last week, that's where you would find me, is over on Rumble. So go check that out. You just go to Rumble and search the Prepared Homestead, and you'll find me. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.